Hi, Don Rainey here, your Halifax Realtor with the Elite Realty Group and Royal LePage Anchor. Today I brought on a lawyer here in Halifax to talk about what they actually do. This is Suzane Robichaud. She's the owner of Scotia Law and has been practicing law for 11 years. So Suzane, tell us, what do real estate lawyers do?
Well, it's a really good question, Don. So when we get an agreement of purchase and sales, what we're doing is checking title to the property. We're checking to see if there's any easements, right-of-ways, encumbrances, liens, or any restrictions that the buyer would have on their property, such as, whether you can build a fence, whether you have access to your driveway, or whether it's on, your neighbor's driveway, or things like that. So that's mostly what we're looking for, to make sure that you have good title to the property.
Okay, and then you inform the buyer, hey, this is kind of how your property is, what you can and can't do, and make them aware of.
Yeah, that's right. So as part of our legal review of the contract, we'll write to the buyers prior to the condition date, along with their realtor, and say, this is what I found, this is what you should know, and if there's anything else that we need to deal with prior to condition date, then we normally talk either between agents or between lawyers.
Okay, and in general, how long does it take you to do review of an agreement of sale?
It would normally take me a few hours to review title to the property and make sure everything is as it should be, and find the plans for the property, or the mapping and graphics and things like that, and then provide my email and comments too.
So one question I have is unconditional offers. Do you see many of those coming across your desk?
I have seen a lot of unconditional offers in this market. To be competitive, the buyers, what they're doing is just taking out inspection clause, financing clause, water and septic clauses, all the things that would protect them during the conditional date of a transaction. I don't recommend that for various reasons, being a lawyer, but there is the legal review clause that we as lawyers are checking title and making sure that everything's okay on their end.
So do you have that conversation with a buyer, like, hey, you waived your inspections, so after the sale, if you find something, you're dealing with it?
Yes, I do have those conversations. Same thing with financing. So if they are waiving financing, I'm having the conversation with them as to, what is your setup? How are you financing this property? What are the methods that you're using to purchase this property, to make sure that they are covered prior to.
So one thing that I see a lot of in the last 2 years is out of province and out of country buyers. More with the out of province buyers trying to use their lawyers in, say, Ontario or Vancouver. Can you explain why they can't do that?
Yeah, so we're licensed per province. So there's a requirement to be a member of the bar,
right,
in each province. So a lot of lawyers are only licensed in their province, which means they can only practice in that province.
Okay, that makes sense. So what's the cost? Like, how much are your fees to facilitate a purchase of a property?
So lawyer fees range anywhere from $800 to $1,500. So I would say approximately $1,000 would be a good ballpark area for buyers to be prepared for.
And one thing I'd like to ask about is the property disclosure statement that a seller provides to the buyer. What's the legality around that document?
So it does form part of the contract once it's signed by both parties, and it's something that the buyers are relying upon, that the sellers are to disclose all known aspects of the property. If it comes to fruition after the transaction that something wasn't disclosed, there would be
some legal recourse.
After there. Yeah.
So we talk about buyers a lot. What about sellers? Like, what's your number one thing to say to sellers when they're selling their property in this market?
Be ready to sell. In this market, everything is going really fast. Any thoughts or second thoughts that the sellers are having about selling their property and what they're expecting and what their bottom line needs to be, have those conversations prior to putting the house on the market, to avoid any conversations that you're having after that.
Right.
You're trying.
Don't get cold feet after the deal's done.
Right.
And avoid getting sued.
That's right.
To finish up, like, anything that you would give advice to a buyer or seller, like, number one thing off the top of your head?
be ready. Just have the conversations with your realtor, have the conversations, with all the professionals that you need to have before, so that you know how fast things are going to go when you're making that offer, and what you need to know. If you need to, move things around, or have a co-signer or things like that, make sure you're ready to go.
If you guys have any questions, please drop a comment in the comment section and we'll be happy to answer them.